Welcome, wanderers, to another journey through Skyrim's darkest secrets. Today, I bring you a complete analysis of every Daedric Prince quest, all 15 dark bargains that test the soul of the Dragonborn. These are not mere fetch quests or simple dungeon crawls. These are encounters with beings whose power transcends mortal understanding, whose influence has shaped the history of Tamriel itself. From Azura's twilight judgment to Mehrunes Dagon's razor edge, from Molag Bal's brutal domination to Sanguine's drunken revelry, each prince offers something unique, something terrible, something unforgettable. And if you genuinely enjoy this kind of dark storytelling, consider subscribing and liking the channel, but only if you like the content. The twilight air feels heavy tonight, as if the very fabric of Oblivion presses against the borders of this mortal realm. I have walked the length and breadth of Skyrim, from the frozen wastes of Winterhold to the ash-choked reaches of Solstheim, and I have witnessed things that would turn a lesser soul to madness. I speak to you now of the Daedric Princes, those enigmatic beings whose influence seeps through the cracks of our world like poison through stone. 15 of these lords have made their presence known in Skyrim, each offering their own twisted bargains, their own paths to power and damnation. I have traced their footprints across this land, and what I have learned, I now share with you. Let me speak first of Azura, the Queen of Dawn and Dusk, she who commands the twilight. Her quest, known as the Black Star, begins when one encounters Aranea Ionith at the shrine of Azura, south of Winterhold. This priestess speaks of a vision, a warning from her mistress about a fortress called Ilinalta's Deep, northwest of Falkreath, where an elven mage named Malyn Varen has committed blasphemy against Azura herself. Within those sunken halls lies Azura's star, a soul gem of infinite capacity, but Varen has corrupted it, trapping his own soul within its crystalline structure in a mad bid for immortality. The Dragonborn must venture into Ilinalta's Deep, claim this artifact, and then make a choice that defines their path. They may bring the star to Nelacar at the frozen hearth in Winterhold, who will cleanse it and transform it into the Black Star, capable of holding only black souls, the souls of sentient beings. Or they may take it to Aranea at Azura's shrine, who will purify it in the traditional manner, restoring it to hold only white souls, those of beasts and creatures. To complete the purification, the Dragonborn must enter the star itself, a realm of swirling energies, and defeat the fractured remnants of Malyn Varen's consciousness. The Black Star variant proves more useful for enchanters, as black souls are far more potent, though it earns Azura's eternal displeasure. But now, let us speak of Boethiah, the prince of plots, deceit, and secret murder. At level 30, a book called Boethiah's Proving begins to appear across Skyrim, sometimes carried by hostile cultists who attack travelers on the roads. This tome directs the worthy to the Cecellum of Boethiah, a shrine hidden in the mountains east of Windhelm, beyond Trader's Post. When the Dragonborn arrives, they find Boethiah's faithful gathered in ritual combat, watched over by a priestess who issues a terrible command. To gain Boethiah's attention, one must lead a companion, any follower who is not essential to other quests, to the pillar of sacrifice that stands before the shrine. The follower must be commanded to touch this pillar, whereupon they become trapped by its Daedric magic, helpless and confused. Then comes the unthinkable requirement. The sacrifice must be slain while trapped, their blood spilled upon Boethiah's altar. Only through this betrayal will Boethiah manifest, possessing the corpse of the murdered companion and speaking through dead lips. The prince then declares a contest. All cultists present, including the Dragonborn, must fight until only one champion remains standing. The priestess of Boethiah is particularly dangerous in this melee, wielding powerful magic against her former allies. When the last cultist falls, Boethiah issues a final command. The Dragonborn must travel to Knife Point Ridge, northwest of Falkreath, where Boethiah's current champion leads a band of bandits. This champion wears ebony mail and Boethiah expresses disappointment with their service, desiring a new emissary. The prince requests that this execution be conducted with stealth, though the quest can be completed through open combat without consequence. When the champion falls and the ebony male is claimed, Boethiah names the Dragonborn as their new champion. This dark cuirass poisons nearby enemies with 5 points of damage per second and muffles the wearer's movements, creating a shadowy aura that aids in concealment. I must now turn your attention to Clavicus Vile, the Prince of Bargains, and his hound Barbas. In Falkreath, guards speak of a dog that has been wandering the roads, and if one encounters this peculiar hound outside the town, it will speak, revealing itself as Barbas, the companion of Clavicus Vile. The dog explains that his master has grown tired of him and cast him out, requesting that the Dragonborn help him return to Clavicus Vile's shrine. This shrine lies southwest of Hamar's Shame, a vampire den near Riften. The journey with Barbas proves trying, as the hound is essential and cannot die, yet he blocks doorways and gets in the way of combat. At the shrine, Clavicus Vile speaks, but he is in a foul mood and demands a task before he will reunite with Barbas. The prince wants the rueful axe retrieved from Rimarock Burrow, north of Falkreath, where a wizard named Sebastian Lort made a terrible bargain decades ago. Lort wished to cure his daughter's lycanthropy, but Vile's bargain twisted his wish, transforming the daughter into a more dangerous creature entirely. When the Dragonborn recovers the axe and returns to the shrine, Clavicus Vile presents a choice: kill Barbas with the rueful axe, keeping the weapon as a reward, or spare the hound and receive the mask of Clavicus Vile instead. The axe, despite its impressive appearance, does not count as a Daedric artifact for the Oblivion Walker achievement, making it a false prize. The mask, however, improves speech by 10 points, regenerates magicka faster, and makes prices 20% better with merchants. Wise travelers spare Barbas, for Clavicus Vile's true gift lies in the mask, not the axe. If you're still with me after hearing this, hit that like and subscribe button. Allow me now to tell you about Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge, Memory, and Fate, whose realm is the endless library of Apocrypha. This quest, discerning the transmundane, intertwines with the main storyline of Skyrim, beginning at level 15, when the Dragonborn seeks the Elder Scroll, needed to learn Dragonrend. The path leads to Septimus Cygnus, a mad scholar who dwells in an ice-locked outpost north of the College of Winterhold, at the very edge of the Sea of Ghosts. Septimus claims to hear the whispers of Hermaeus Mora, and he has spent years trying to unlock a Dwemer lockbox he believes contains the heart of Lorkhan itself. He sends the Dragonborn deep into Blackreach, that impossibly vast cavern beneath Skyrim, to find an ancient Dwemer contraption called the Oculary in the Tower of Mzark. There, the Dragonborn must transcribe a lexicon using the Elder Scroll, capturing knowledge in a format the Dwemer machine can process. When the Dragonborn returns this inscribed lexicon to Septimus, Hermaeus Mora speaks directly, his voice like the rustling of infinite pages. The prince reveals that the lockbox does not contain the heart of Lorkhan, and that the blood of the Dwemer, now extinct, is required to open it. But Mora has a solution. The Dragonborn must collect blood samples from 5 races of Mer: the Altmer, Bosmer, Dunmer, Orsimer, and Falmer, which represent the diversity of elvish bloodlines. It is crucial that these samples come from non-vampiric individuals, as vampirism corrupts the blood and renders it useless for this ritual. Once all 5 blood types are gathered and brought to Septimus, Hermaeus Mora shows his true nature. The prince has no more use for the aged scholar and destroys him, his body crumpling like discarded parchment. Then Mora offers the Dragonborn the Oghma Infinium, a tome of immense power that, when read, grants 5 levels to every skill within one of 3 categories: warrior, mage, or thief. After reading it once, the book turns to dust, its knowledge absorbed forever. Yet there is more to tell. Of Hircine, The Huntsman, the father of man-beasts. In Falkreath's jail, accessible through the barracks, a Nord named Sinding sits imprisoned for the murder of a little girl. When spoken to, Sinding reveals that he is afflicted with lycanthropy and that he was cursed by the ring of Hircine, which causes uncontrollable transformations. He begs for help and asks the Dragonborn to hunt a great white stag sacred to Hircine, believing that by offering this creature to the Daedric Prince, his curse might be lifted. Sinding gives the Dragonborn the cursed ring, which immediately equips itself and cannot be removed, causing random werewolf transformations, even for those who do not possess lycanthropy. The white stag roams northwest of Falkreath, and when it is slain, Hircine's spirit manifests over its corpse. But Hircine is not satisfied with the stag's death. The prince reveals that Sinding has fled to Bloated Man's grotto, and Hircine commands that the true prey must be hunted, Sinding himself. At Bloated Man's grotto, other hunters, spirits sent by Hircine, are already pursuing Sinding through the cave. The Dragonborn faces a choice. They may join the hunt and slay Sinding, whereupon Hircine will reward them with the Savior's Hide, a light armor cuirass that increases magic resistance by 15% and poison resistance by 50%, or they may aid Sinding by killing the spectral hunters instead. If the hunters fall, Hircine will speak again, impressed by the Dragonborn's choice, and will uncurse the Ring of Hircine, allowing unlimited werewolf transformations per day for those who already possess the beast blood. Remarkably, through careful timing with the slow time shout and manipulation of the quest sequence, it is possible to obtain both artifacts, though this requires killing Sinding after helping him and skinning his corpse outside the grotto after speaking to Hircine. I shall now turn to Malakath, the Daedric Prince of the Ostracized, the patron of the spurned and the sworn enemy of false honor. His quest begins at Largashbur, an orc stronghold located in the Rift, southeast of Riften, near the mountains. When approaching this settlement, the Dragonborn witnesses it under attack by giants, an unnatural siege that speaks of a curse upon the tribe. The orc chieftain, Yamars, is ashamed, for his weakness has brought Malakath's wrath upon his people. The tribe's wise woman, Atub, will speak with outsiders and explains that to lift this curse, they need a troll fat and a Daedra heart to perform a ritual. These are not common ingredients. The Daedra heart, especially, must be acquired from either alchemists like Enthier at the College of Winterhold or harvested from the corpses of Dremora. Once these offerings are brought to Atub, she conducts the ritual, and Malakath's voice thunders across the stronghold, furious at Yamars's cowardice. The Daedric Prince demands that Yamars travel to Fallowstone Cave, a giant's dwelling southwest of Riften, to retrieve Shagrol's warhammer and slay the giant chieftain who wields it. However, Yamars is craven at heart and forces the Dragonborn to accompany him. Outside the giant's cave, Yamars's true nature reveals itself when he offers to bribe the Dragonborn to kill the giant leader in his stead, promising to claim the glory as his own. Whether one accepts this bribe or refuses, it makes no difference to the outcome. If the bribe is accepted, Yamars immediately attacks the Dragonborn, forcing self-defense. If refused, Yamars charges the giant chief and is swiftly killed, crushed like an insect. Either way, the Dragonborn must defeat the giant leader and claim Shagrol's warhammer. When this hammer is brought back to Largashbur, Malakath transforms it into Volendrung, a legendary two-handed warhammer that absorbs 50 points of stamina with every strike, making it devastating for stamina-based warrior builds. The hammer appears before the shrine rather than being placed in the Dragonborn's inventory, requiring one to pick it up manually. But now, let us speak of Mephala, the web spinner, the prince of secrets, lies, and murder. After completing Dragon Rising, the main quest where the Dragonborn slays their first dragon at the Western Watchtower, rumors begin to circulate in Dragon's Reach. The Jarl's son, Nelkir, has been troubled, speaking of strange whispers from a door in the basement. When approached, the young boy speaks of a voice from behind the whispering door in the catacombs beneath the palace, a door to which only Jarl Balgruf or his court wizard Farenjar possess the key. The Dragonborn must either pickpocket this key from one of them or convince Balgruf to hand it over through dialogue. Behind the whispering door lies the Ebony Blade, though it cannot yet be claimed. Mephala speaks through the door, her voice seductive and venomous, explaining that the blade hungers for the blood of those who trust its wielder. She commands that the blade be taken and fed with the blood of friends, allies, and confidants. The Ebony Blade is a two-handed katana that resembles a two-handed sword, but swings with the speed of a one-handed weapon, making it unique in Skyrim's arsenal. Its true power, however, lies in its enchantment. Each time the blade kills someone who trusts the Dragonborn, someone who would follow them as a companion or whom they have aided, the weapon grows stronger. It must feast upon 10 such betrayals to reach its full potential, absorbing health with each strike. This creates a dark dilemma, for the blade's power can only be unlocked through systematic betrayal of those who call the wielder friend. Followers, quest givers who have been helped, and even spouses can fuel this weapon's terrible hunger. At maximum power, the Ebony Blade absorbs 30 health per hit and grows faster with each swing, becoming one of the most formidable weapons in Skyrim for those willing to pay its moral cost. I must now turn your attention to Meridia, the Lady of Infinite Energies, one of the few Daedric princes who despises the undead and champions the living. Her quest, the Break of Dawn, begins in an unusual way. At level 12, the Dragonborn will eventually find Meridia's beacon while exploring any random dungeon across Skyrim. This glowing object appears in boss chests, and the moment it is touched, Meridia's voice fills the air, booming and imperious, commanding that her beacon be returned to her statue. This sudden divine contact has startled many travelers, as Meridia's voice erupts without warning. Her shrine stands atop Mount Kilcreath, directly west of Solitude, overlooking the Sea of Ghosts. When the beacon is placed upon the pedestal before her statue, Meridia lifts the Dragonborn into the sky itself, suspending them in her radiance, while she speaks of the abomination occurring beneath her temple. A necromancer named Malkoran has defiled Kilcreath catacombs, turning it into a haven for the undead, and Meridia demands that this corruption be purged. She then returns the Dragonborn to the ground, opening the entrance to the ruins below. The catacombs are filled with shades, spectral undead that serve Malkoran, and throughout the dungeon there are pedestals where the beacon's light must be used to open doors, creating beams of purifying radiance that cut through the darkness. At the deepest chamber, Malkoran awaits, a powerful necromancer who fights with frost magic and summons. When he falls, his shade rises, and this spectral version must also be destroyed. Upon Malkoran's final death, Meridia speaks once more and presents her reward, Dawnbreaker, a sword that burns the undead with sun damage, dealing an extra 10 points to undead creatures. When killing undead with this blade, there is a chance it will trigger a powerful explosion that causes nearby undead to flee in terror. The weapon literally glows with golden light, making it visible even in pitch darkness, and it stands as one of the finest weapons for those who hunt vampires, draugr, and other creatures of the grave. Yet there is more darkness to explore, for Molag Bal, the king of rape, the lord of domination and enslavement, has also made his presence felt in Skyrim. In Markarth, that city of stone carved into the mountain itself, a vigilant of Stendarr named Tyrannus investigates an abandoned house near the city's entrance. He will approach the Dragonborn and request aid in investigating the structure, believing it to be a site of Daedric corruption. Once inside, the house appears oddly preserved, with fresh food on tables, despite its abandoned state. As Tyrannus ventures deeper, furniture begins to move on its own, chairs rattling, and objects flying through the air. A voice echoes through the halls, mocking and cruel, and Tyrannus realizes too late the danger they face. The door to the basement unlocks, and Tyrannus attempts to flee, but the exit seals itself. The voice, revealed to be Molag Bal himself, commands the Dragonborn to kill the Vigilant. There is no escape, no alternative. Tyrannus must die for the quest to proceed. Once his blood is spilled, the basement door opens fully, leading to a tunnel that ends at an altar where a rusty mace sits embedded in stone. When touched, this mace triggers a cage that traps the Dragonborn, and Molag Bal manifests fully, explaining his grievance. His altar was desecrated by Boethiah's priests, and now he seeks revenge. The prince commands that Logrolf the Willful, the priest of Boethiah, responsible for this insult, be brought to this altar. Logrolf is imprisoned in one of 6 randomly chosen locations, all forsworn camps in the Reach. These include Broken Tower Redoubt, Bruca's Leap Redoubt, Deepwood Redoubt, Druidac Redoubt, Hagrock Redoubt, or Red Eagle Redoubt. The Dragonborn must fight through whichever camp holds him and free Logrolf, then convince him to return to the abandoned house in Markarth. This can be accomplished through persuasion, claiming to be sent by Boethiah, through bribery, or through intimidation. Once Logrolf reaches the house and descends to the altar, Molag Bal traps him in the same cage that held the Dragonborn. Then comes the most disturbing command in all of Skyrim's Daedric quests. The rusty mace equips itself, and the Dragonborn is ordered to beat Logrolf to death with it. The first time Logrolf dies, Molag Bal resurrects him, forcing the torture to continue. The priest must be beaten to death again, and this time he begins to break, his faith crumbling. Finally, Logrolf submits completely, renouncing Boethiah and pledging his soul to Molag Bal. The prince then commands one final mercy, that Logrolf be killed permanently to claim his soul for oblivion. Upon completing this brutal execution, Molag Bal transforms the rusty mace into the Mace of Molag Bal, a weapon that drains 25 points of both stamina and magicka from enemies with each strike, and has a chance to trap their souls in soul gems. The quest can be failed by refusing to kill Logrolf at any point, but doing so forfeits the artifact entirely. If these facts has kept you listening this far, and you want more of these facts from Skyrim, hit that like button. It really motivates me to create more such videos. I must now speak of Namira, the spirit Daedra, the Lady of Decay, whose sphere encompasses the ancient darkness, the repulsive, and that which civilized folk shun. In Markarth, a priest of Arkay named Brother Verulus can be found investigating strange rumors of the Hall of the Dead being violated. Speaking with him begins a dark path, for he mentions that a woman named Iola has been seen near the halls at night. Iola can be found in the Hall of the Dead itself after nightfall, and when confronted, she admits to being a cannibal and extends an invitation to join a feast. She claims that Namira has blessed their gathering, and that the Dragonborn would make a worthy addition to their coven. If one accepts, Iola requests help with obtaining the main course for their feast, Brother Verulus himself. The Dragonborn must convince Verulus to come to Reachcliff Cave, southwest of Markarth, where the cannibal coven has gathered. This requires either persuading him through speech, bribing him, or casting a calm spell followed by persuasion. When Verulus reaches the cave and approaches the shrine of Namira, he realizes too late the trap that has been laid. Namira demands that he be killed, and the coven expects the Dragonborn to strike the first blow. After Verulus is slain, his body is laid upon a table, and the cannibals feast upon his flesh, with Namira commanding that the Dragonborn join in this defilement. Eating Verulus's flesh completes the ritual, and Namira grants the Ring of Namira as reward, which increases stamina by 50 points and allows the wearer to feed on corpses, gaining health and stamina regeneration from consuming the dead. The quest can be failed by killing Iola in the Hall of the Dead before she leaves, or by attacking the cultists during their feast instead of participating. though both options result in losing the artifact. Allow me to tell you about Peryite, the Taskmaster, the Daedric Prince of Pestilence and Natural Order, whose sphere is often overlooked despite his importance in maintaining the proper flow of souls through Oblivion. His shrine is located in the Reach, at a place called Peryite's Shrine, northeast of Markarth, on the mountains between Karthwasten and Bethartams. At this shrine, a dark elf named Kesh the Clean tends the altar, and he explains that Peryite wishes to speak with the Dragonborn, but a special incense must be created first. This incense requires 4 specific ingredients: a flawless ruby, a silver ingot, vampire dust, and a death bell flower. These are not cheap materials, particularly the flawless ruby, which alone can cost hundreds of gold pieces if purchased from jewelers. Once these ingredients are brought to Kesh and the incense is brewed, inhaling its fumes allows contact with Peryite, whose voice carries the wet, diseased quality of plague itself. The prince speaks of Orchendor, once a devoted follower who shepherded a flock of Peryites afflicted in Bethartams, a vast Dwemer ruin. But Orchendor has betrayed his duty, abandoning his charges and attempting to escape his obligation to Peryite. The prince commands that Orchendor be hunted down and killed for this betrayal. Bethartams is a lengthy dungeon crawl, filled with Dwemer automatons and the grotesque remnants of Peryite's afflicted followers, elves who succumbed to a plague while their souls were trapped between realms. Orchendor himself waits in the deepest chamber, wielding powerful destruction magic and possessing the ability to teleport during combat, making him a challenging opponent. When Orchendor falls, Peryite grants Spellbreaker, a unique shield that, while blocking, creates a magical ward that negates up to 50 points of spell damage. This makes Spellbreaker invaluable against dragons, whose breath weapons it completely nullifies, and against Draugr overlords, whose shouts it absorbs harmlessly. I shall now speak of Sanguine, the Daedric Prince of debauchery, revelry, and hedonistic pleasures. At level 14, a mysterious figure appears in one of Skyrim's taverns, a Breton mage dressed in black robes who calls himself Sam Given. The name itself is a jest, for it sounds suspiciously like sanguine when spoken aloud. Sam challenges the Dragonborn to a drinking contest, promising a staff as the prize for victory. After consuming 3 flagons of his special brew, the Dragonborn blacks out completely, and consciousness returns only at the Temple of Dibella in Markarth. The priestess Senna is furious, for the Dragonborn has trashed the sacred temple during their drunken rampage. Scattered across the floor are 2 bottles of Alto wine, a giant's toe, a hag-raven feather, and a note from Sam listing these items as supplies needed to repair a staff. From Markarth, the Trail of Chaos leads to Rorikstead, where a Redguard farmer named Ennis reveals that the Dragonborn sold his prized goat, Gleda, to a giant. The goat can be recovered from the giant, or Ennis can be persuaded, bribed, or intimidated to reveal the next clue. In Whiterun, a woman named Ysolda speaks of a wedding ring that was promised to her, and she directs the Dragonborn to Witchmist Grove, where the intended bride awaits. This bride turns out to be Mora, a Hagraven, and she must be slain to reclaim the ring. Finally, with all debts settled, the trail points to Morvunskar, a ruined fort southwest of Windhelm, occupied by hostile mages. Fighting through these mages leads to a portal of blue light that transports the Dragonborn to Misty Grove, a pocket realm of Oblivion where a feast is in progress. There, Sam reveals his true identity as Sanguine, laughing about the chaos and merriment he inspired. He admits the items on his list were meaningless, simply a way to encourage the Dragonborn to spread debauchery across Skyrim. As reward, Sanguine grants his artifact, the Sanguine Rose, a staff that summons a Dremora warrior to fight for 60 seconds and then teleports the Dragonborn back to the tavern where the adventure began. Yet there is more madness to uncover, for Sheogorath, the Daedric Prince of Madness, has taken up residence in the mind of a long-dead emperor. In solitude, beggars speak of a strange old man named Dervanin who wanders the streets, and when found near the Blue Palace, he laments that his master has gone on vacation inside the Pelagius wing and will not return. If one speaks to the innkeeper at the Winking Skeever, they will mention rumors of this disturbed individual. Dervanin gives the Dragonborn the Pelagius hip bone, a key that unlocks the Pelagius wing of the Blue Palace. This wing has been sealed for generations, for it once housed Emperor Pelagius the Mad, whose insanity was legendary even in life. Upon entering his old chambers and using the bed, the Dragonborn is transported into Pelagius's fractured mind, a nightmare realm where reality bends and logic holds no meaning. There, Sheogorath sits at a tea party, clearly enjoying his vacation in the ruins of Imperial Sanity. The Mad God challenges the Dragonborn to help Pelagius confront his inner demons using the Wabbajack, Sheogorath's iconic staff. 3 manifestations of Pelagius's madness must be addressed. His night terrors, represented by a sleeping figure tormented by monsters, his paranoia, shown through 2 dragons, representing confidence and self-doubt fighting each other, and his anger issues, depicted by arena combatants of mismatched sizes. The Wabbajack transforms targets randomly, and using it correctly on each scenario resolves Pelagius's trauma. Once all 3 aspects are balanced, Sheogorath agrees to return to his realm, but not before gifting the Wabbajack to the Dragonborn. This staff produces completely random effects when fired, sometimes turning enemies into chickens, sometimes summoning creatures to attack them, occasionally turning them into piles of coins, or even striking them with lightning. Its unpredictability makes it both entertaining and tactically unreliable. If you are really enjoying these facts, leave a like. It's the only way I know you liked the video. I must now turn to Vaermina, the Daedric Prince of Nightmares and Evil Omens. In Dawnstar, the entire population suffers from terrible nightmares that rob them of sleep, and a priest of Mora named Erendur stands at the Windpeak Inn seeking aid to end this curse. He explains that these dreams stem from the Skull of Corruption, a Daedric artifact being wielded inside Nightcaller Temple just west of Dawnstar. Erendur himself was once a priest of Vaermina named Casimir, and he knows the temple's secrets. Inside, the party discovers that the skull is being used by Orcish invaders who became trapped when the temple's priests released a vapor called the miasma to protect the artifact. Erendur reveals he was one of those priests who fled, abandoning his brethren to destroy the ticking skull's influence. The Dragonborn must retrieve Vaermina's torpor, a liquid used to awaken those trapped in the miasma. The quest culminates when Erendur begins a ritual to destroy the Skull of Corruption, but Vaermina speaks, commanding the Dragonborn to kill Erendur before he completes the ritual. If Erendur is slain, the skull can be claimed as a weapon that absorbs dreams from sleeping victims to empower its strikes. If he is allowed to finish, the skull is destroyed forever. Erendur becomes a potential follower, but the artifact is permanently lost. And finally, I speak of Mehrunes Dagon, the Prince of Destruction, Ambition, Change, and Revolution. At level 20, a courier delivers a museum pamphlet advertising Silas Vesuvius's Museum of the Mythic Dawn in Dawnstar. This museum celebrates the cult that nearly destroyed the world during the Oblivion crisis centuries before. Silas asks the Dragonborn to recover 3 pieces of Mehrunes' razor, a legendary dagger that belonged to his ancestors. The pommel rests at Dead Crone Rock, southwest of Markarth, held by the Hagraven Draskua. The blade shards are kept by the bandit chief Gunzul at Cracked Tusk Keep southeast of Markarth. The hilt lies in Morthal, hidden in the home of Jorgen and Lami. Once all 3 pieces are delivered, Silas leads the way to the shrine of Mehrunes Dagon in the mountains southwest of Dawnstar. There, Silas attempts to commune with Dagon to reforge the blade, but the prince has no interest in helping. Instead, Dagon demands that Silas be killed, calling him and his family pawns who have served their purpose. Silas pleads for his life, offering 500 gold to be spared. The Dragonborn must choose: kill Silas and receive Mehrunes' razor, a dagger with a 2% chance to instantly kill any enemy with each strike, or spare him and face 2 summoned Dremora as punishment while Silas flees to safety. If Silas is killed, Dagon reforges the razor and then summons the Dremora anyway as a final test. One of these Dremora carries the key to Mehrunes' shrine, allowing access to the treasure vault within. The razor itself weighs half as much as a Daedric dagger while dealing identical damage, and its instant kill enchantment never requires recharging. However, sparing Silas means forfeiting the weapon entirely, voiding progress toward the Oblivion Walker achievement that requires collecting 15 Daedric artifacts. Thus, I have spoken of all 15 Daedric princes whose quests mark Skyrim's landscape with their influence. Each offers power at a price. Each demands something of those who would be their champions. The artifacts they grant can turn the tide of battle, can make beggars into legends, can corrupt the pure and elevate the damned. But remember always that the Daedric princes are not gods to be worshipped lightly. They are forces of nature, alien and incomprehensible, and their gifts come wrapped in thorns. I have walked these paths, traced these dark bargains to their conclusions, and what I have learned weighs heavy on my soul. The choice to accept or refuse their offerings lies with each traveler who walks Skyrim's roads. Choose wisely, for the princes are watching, always watching, and they never forget those who catch their attention.